الله عليك يا رسول الله وعلى أهل بيتك المظلومين صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى علي الحسين ما شاء الله louder وعلى ورحمة الله وبركاته صلوات Inshallah, this year will be the year of the appearance of our beloved Imam Al-Mahdi Ajjalullah Ta'ala Faraju Sharif with the blessing of loud salawat. Inshallah, all of us gathering tonight will be amongst his companions, his soldiers, and his sincere servant with another loud salawat. Mustafa alayhi salam وبذل مهجته فيك ليستنقذ عبادك من الجهالة وحيرة الضلالة. صدق مولانا إمام الصادق عليه السلام. صلوات. Everything in this life has a value. Everything in this life has a price that we have to pay for it. As they say in the street, nothing is free. You have to pay for every necessity that you want. You have to pay a price. Based on the importance of that necessity, number one. Based on the amount of usage, number two. Based on the material that it has been used to make this necessity, the price will vary. The price of this microphone is different than the price of the clothes that we're wearing. It is different than the price of the glasses that we are wearing. It is different than the price of the phone that we have. Because of the material, because of the amount of usage, and because of its importance, it makes it high or low. An iPhone probably cost about $60 or $70 to make. $100 max, $150 max, $200 max. But it's been sold $600, $700 and up. Based on its importance, it gives value to that product. Maybe the material that has been used is not that much important and is not valuable material, but because of the importance of that object, that necessity, and because of the amount of usage, the price goes up and down. And we have to pay for it. And they make us, by their marketing, and really good job in their marketing, they bring an object, they make it part of our life, and we'll buy it. Right now, let's ask this question. How much happiness costs? How much having a prosperous life costs? We want to see how much it is so we can purchase it. Each and every one of us, we like to have a happy and prosperous life. We want to have a life without problems. We want to have a successful life. And if we are believers, if we are Muslim, and if we believe in hereafter, we want to have a happy life in this life and hereafter. And that is the beauty of our religion. What we read in our qunut, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. Oh Allah, give us, satisfy us in this world, give us happiness and good in this world and hereafter. Islam is religion that cares about both life. Not like some religions that they only care about hereafter, or some religion that they care about this life only. Islam says we care about both. So how much we can buy happiness? The problem that we have lost happiness. We are confused of what is happiness means. We think celebrities in front of camera, they come and they smile and they show us their teeth and they're wearing really expensive clothes. We think they are happy. We think musicians are happy. We think businessmen who have millions and billions of dollars, they are happy. What is happiness? How can we achieve that happiness? It's based on our iman, based on our knowledge, based on our wisdom. Happiness will be different. For a kid, if he passes a level in his game of Clash of Clans, goes to the higher, he's happy. This is happiness. We get a little bit older games. They call Black Ops, yeah? Never played it, but I know. If they go higher, this is happiness for them. We get older, we get to the school, we get good grades, we go higher. That is happiness for us. We graduate. Graduation is happiness for us. We get our masters, it's happiness. We get a job, it's happiness. We get a good spouse, that is happiness. We get a car. First day the driver license, age 15, 16, 17. We are the king. We are the happiest because we start driving. We get older. We buy a house. I bought my dream house. That is happiness. Okay, and then we became like Bill Gates, which inshallah all of you guys will try and plan to become. And then, is that happiness? You become #1 actor within Hollywood. And then, what is happiness? What gets us happiness? It's not all anything of these materialistic that we have, because anytime that we have to leave, we can't take any of them with us. Pharaohs, they used to take it. No usage. If you have the biggest grave, and you take all of your belongings with you in your grave, no benefits. That happiness ends as soon as the breath comes here, out. That's it. If we consider that these are happiness, it's going to be finished. It's going to finish one day. The reason why I really hate games, because okay, what is after? Okay, next level. Okay, what next? Okay, next level. Okay, what is next? That's it. There's nothing. You got to the highest level, nothing. What is next? What is next? What is happiness? It's the iman that we have in faith, our faith in our hearts. That brings us happiness. The wisdom that we have brings us happiness, and knowledge brings us happiness. makes us to have a prosperous life in this life and hereafter. If I have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if I'm living in a tent, I'm the most happiest person on earth. If I have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I'm living in the most expensive mansion, I'm still satisfied. Same as I was satisfied the first day that I was in a tent. There was a king who had an advisor. This king loved this advisor very much amongst all the other advisors. All the other advisors, they tried to do something to make him bad in the eyes of the king. Try to find what is happening, try to find a weak point. Don't try to be amongst those people who try to find weak point amongst others. Action. Starting tonight, as soon as I want to think about a weak point in my brother, in my spouse, in a community member, in X, as soon as I want to think of him, let me think to myself, do I have this weakness or not? Let me think to myself. Every night that inshallah some have started calculating their deeds, I'm going to have a page, what are my weaknesses? I cannot control my gaze. Okay, that's the weakness. When it comes to haram, I cannot lower it. It's a weakness. I cannot stop listening to music. I lower my gaze, alhamdulillah, but I cannot stop listening to music. I'm addicted to it. Okay, that's a weakness. I cannot control my anger and my temper. Well, that is a weakness. I cannot have a good mouth. Always bad mouth. As soon as I want to talk, within 5 words that I say, 4 and a half of them is bad language. Well, I have to know my weaknesses, and then I have to take one at a time to battle it. Okay, 1 month, I'm going to start working on my temper. Next month, I'm going to work on the second weaknesses. So that's the action plan. Let me always think about my own weaknesses. They found out that every day before the advisor leaves the palace, he goes to a room and he locks and he makes sure nobody enters that room. Let's have a loud salawat and please move forward. Let's have another loud salawat. Every day before he leaves, he goes to this room by the door of the palace and then he comes out, he locks the door and he leaves. They said they go. When you try to find weakness, Shaitan comes and helps. Shaitan is not sitting there unemployed. No, he has a job every day, 24/7, which he promised and he's working toward. They said, well, every day he's taking some money from the treasury and he's putting it in that club, in that room. There's no other choice. That is, let's have husnul dhan. Let's think good about others. Please. Action plan. Let's not have su'al dhan against anybody. Against anybody, we should not have su'al dhan. Meaning what? Negative doubt. Because when you have negative doubt, that stays in the mind. Anything he does, we take it what? Negatively. I think of this guy, he doesn't like me. Su'al dhan. Negative doubt. He comes in, he doesn't look at me, he doesn't say salam. I think to myself, see, he doesn't like me. He's about to bring food. He doesn't put it in front of me. You see, I'm right. He doesn't like me. Well, not knowing when he walked in here, he had a headphone, he had an earphone, and he was talking to someone, and he was completely lost in his mind. He didn't see you, he didn't notice you. Because we have this negative in our minds, we start building on that negative mindset. They came to the king. King, this advisor that is the best and you love him the most, come see what he's doing. In his room, he's taking money from the treasury and he's trying to slowly get power to overcome you. Seriously? Yes. He came. He said, I want to get to your room. He said, I would like you not to get in. The advisor said, see, we told you, he's hiding something. The king said, I'm ordering you to open the door and I want to come in. Opened the door, got in. They saw a pair of shoes, very, very, very old shoes, and very, very, very old and torn clothes, and a stick, and a very, very broken container of water. That's it. The king told him, what is this? He said, every day before I leave, because before I became your advisor, I was a farmer. I didn't have anything in the middle of the desert. I had a stick, and I had a pair of shoes, very old clothes, and a container of water. That's it. Every day I come to this room to remind myself, don't become arrogant. You were one day like this. You had nothing. Right now you're advisor to the king. Don't think you have everything. No, you were one day like this. Allah brought you and made you the advisor to the king. If he wants, the next day you have to take the same thing and go back. This is happiness. That he has reached within himself. That no matter where I get, I'm still servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I get a BMW under my feet. I have a big house. I have a career that pays $100,000 salary a year. I forget religion. When I walk in the center, I walk with the chest out, make sure everybody has to say salam to me. Couple of positions. Not knowing if Allah wants, glance of an eye. Glance. You sleep, next day you're fired. That's it. So these things are not happiness. Happiness is not materialistic belongings that we have. It's something else. How much does it cost, this happiness? Everything has a cost. How much does it cost? And who brings this happiness for us? Has been any individual within the history that had bought happiness for us or not? Or Allah sends us to this world, you go, you are completely alone, you find your own path, you have to find your own happiness, nothing to do. When you take faith class or philosophy class, some of the philosophers think there was a God, He created and He left everything to our own. We have to do whatever we have to do. And this ideology is also part of this, some of the people within Ahl-Sunnah, they believe in it. Tafweed. We have Jabr and we have Tafweed. Jabr means what? Predestinate. There are a group of people amongst Ahl-Sunnah that they believe we are predestined. We are obliged. Allah made us like a robot. Everything we do, if we sin, if we do good, Allah ordered us to do. And He made us to do. This is Jabr, predestined. There's another group of people from Ahl-Sunnah that they believe in Tafweed. Allah created us, left us. Do whatever you want. But Alhamdulillah, He has given us Ahlul Bayt. You come to the teachers of Ahlul Bayt, Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, it's not Jabr 100%, and it's not Tafweed 100%. Amrun bayn al-amrayn. It's a little bit predestined and a little bit Tafweed. We have free will to pick the path, but we don't have the option to whom we are going to be born. We don't pick the parents. We don't pick when to grow, stop growing. No, there are certain things that it's moving without our option, without our choice. And Allah has given us also choice. Here's the right path, here's the wrong path. You pick. I gave you act, I gave you the intellect, I gave you a tool, inner tool, and outer individuals like Ahlul Bayt, they are going to guide you, and you have a manual. You want to pick it? Alhamdulillah. You don't, this path is going to end in hellfire, this path is going to end in heaven. So that is free will that we have. There are human beings that they came, especially one person, who is thinking about mankind from the time of his existence until the day of judgment. He wants to bring happiness to each and every one of human beings. He wants each and every one of us, not only us, each and every one of human beings, he wants them to have a prosperous life. He wants to prepare an opportunity for everybody who have been deviated from the right path, who have gone astray, to come back, to have that opportunity. You see, it's becoming really expensive. It's no longer a pen that you buy, or a house you buy, or a car you buy, or a mansion you buy, or a business you buy. It's happiness, not only for one person, not for two people, not for a community, not for a nation, not for a group of people, not in a specific time. From the time that he came until the day of judgment, he wants happiness for each and every one of us. It's going to be very expensive. He has to pay a really, really high price for this. I want happiness. I work for it. I have to work tirelessly. I have to put hours of work to think that I'm happy. But he wants to provide us genuine happiness. He wants to provide us prosperous life in this life and hereafter. He wants us to realize who we are. He wants to give our dignity back. He wants us to walk with honor. He has to pay a very expensive price. This happiness, he cannot buy it with gold and silver. He cannot buy it with dollar and dinar and dirham. Something very expensive. The most expensive thing has to be given in return to buy happiness for you and I. What is it? And who is it that did pay, but we are neglecting it? Hold on to this thought. My heart and my soul is important to me, to my parents, to my kids, to my relatives, and to some of my friends. How I say this? Because when I die, and this heart is no longer working, and the soul is not there anymore, my parents, my kids, my relatives, my wife, and some of my friends will mourn, and they will cry after 3 days, after 40 days, after 1 year, and then they start forgetting me. That is how much my heart worth. You go a little bit higher. A scholar, marja' taqleed. How much does his heart, his soul worth? That the hadith says, if a scholar dies, there will be a breakage to the ummah that it won't be repaired anymore. This breakage, this cut that came to the ummah because of loss of this scholar, marja' taqleed, alim, this cut won't be healed anymore of losing a scholar. Let's go higher. I want to take you to a place, to the soul, and to the heart of the person, of an individual, which the whole universe is dependent on this heart and this soul. The reason why universe is working is because of the heart and the soul of this person. As the soul of a person which Rasulullah said, he is from me and I am from him. As the heart and soul of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, which Rasulullah said, Hussein minni wa ana min Hussein. Imam Hussein alayhi salam comes to Karbala He comes, he wants to reform the nation of his grandfather. He wants to enjoin good. He wants to discourage evil. He wants to bring the nation of grandfather back to the right path. He wants each and every one of us to have happiness. He wants each and every one of us who have been deviated to come back. He has to give his heart. He has to give his soul. And he did. He did. Willingly he did. With love he did. With the most happiest time in his life he gave. Imam comes, and how he gave? Allahu Akbar. Bill Gates does something good for you. He gives you a favor. Something. You want to pay him back. But you are really poor. You have only $1. This is what you have. When you go to him to appreciate what he has done for you, when you go and give that $1, do you go with honor, dignity, proud, happiness, and you are proud of yourself that I'm giving this $1 to this person? Or no? You are going to go, your head is down, you are humiliated, you are embarrassed, you are ashamed that I'm coming to you, you that have billions of dollars, but you did good thing for me. I'm coming to give you $1. I know it's nothing. I know you're worth billions of dollars, but what I'm giving you is what only I have. It's only $1. How are you going to give it to them? Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam states, let's have salawat. He says, وَبَذَلَ مُهْجَتَهُ فِيكِ. Oh Allah, Imam Hussein gave his blood, gave his soul to you, badl. He didn't say ata. When you ata, Allah says, إِنَّا أَعْطَيْنَاكَ الْكَوْثَرَ. We are giving you Kawthar. Imam says, oh Allah, Imam Hussein came and gave you his blood, gave you his heart with humility, giving it to you and saying, oh Allah, I'm ashamed. I'm not giving you with honor what I'm giving you. Sorry, oh Allah, but this is what I have only. I do 2 prayer rak'ah on time for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I show it to Allah. Don't forget Allah, I gave 2 rak'ah. 2 rak'ah. I pay $50 for a community for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I feel happy. I've done something. Oh Allah! Are you watching? I paid $100! Imam Hussein comes and gives his heart. Not only his heart, he gives his family. He gives each and every one of his sons. He gives his companions. He gives each and every his body. Each part of his body he gives. Not only him, after himself. Take my family captive. Allah, you seeing it. How Allah is going to reward. How Allah is going to reward him. There is a king. Kings like to go for hunting. Here and there, they go to what? Hunt. One day, this king goes to hunt. He goes out, he finds a deer, he chases it. Chase. He gets away from his army. He's lost in the middle of desert. Thirsty, about to die from hunger. He doesn't know the place. He doesn't know the direction to go back. He finds a tent. Next to the tent, there is a sheep. Small sheep. His son says, Alhamdulillah, I reached the tent. Gets to the tent, he sees an elderly lady. Gets in, do you have something for me to drink? She says, get in. She gets out. She milk the sheep, or it was a goat. She milk it. Drink from this milk. Fulfill your thirst. Sit here. She goes out. She slaughters the only goat that she had. Basically, she sacrificed for this person who she doesn't know all of her belonging. Okay? She barbecued, she feeds him. When he's about to leave, he tells her, I'm the king of this place. In case time comes really bad for you, in case you need something, come to me. I will pay it back to you. Time passes and passes and passes. It becomes time difficult for her. She's like, let me go to the king. He promised me he's going to do something for me. She enters the palace. The king is sitting and his advisors are sitting right and left. She came and she comes and she tells the king, do you remember me? Yes, I remember you. Time came difficult for me. I need something. The king tells his advisors the story of what happened. How should I pay her back? How should I pay her back? A person said, well, she gave you a goat. Give her a goat. One. A person said, well, you are a king. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in Quran, if somebody does something good for you, return it in better. Somebody does good for you, one, you have to return it in two. And if Allah orders something like this, of course He does. We do this much for Allah. If we do this much, He gives us this much. He's Allah. He has everything. That's why it is mustahab. When somebody says Salaamu Alaikum to you, it is mustahab to say more to it. Wa Alaikum As-Salam wa Rahmatullah. If he says Salaamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullah, you say Wa Alaikum As-Salam wa Rahmatullah wa Barakatuh. You add to it. You return the good with more good. Some people, you say salam to them, they don't return the salam. One said, you're the king, she gave you one, you have more, give her 10 goats. He said, no. This is not the right answer. She gave me all of her belonging. Whatever she had, she gave. If I want to be equal, I have to give her what? My kingdom. Everything that I have to give her to become equal. But I have to do more than that. Allah said, you return good with more good. I have to give her my kingdom and more than my kingdom to be able to return the favor. Imam Hussein alayhi salam comes. He sacrificed one after one. You have a friend that you are really close. You are really close with your friend. Each and every one of us, we have friends. He gets sick, you are upset. You go, you visit him, you take food for him. They lose a person. Their father died, you go to their funeral, you take food for them for 3 days. You care for them, it's your friend. Imam Hussein gave for sake of Allah 72 or 80 of his companions, one after one after one after one. He gives his son Ali al-Akbar, that is the one who is close, really similar to Rasulullah, khalqan wa khulqan wa mantaqan. He gives his infant Ali al-Asghar. When it comes to his body, they chopped off his hand, his finger. They throw a stone to his forehead. They throw an arrow to his stomach. They cut his neck. Then they brought horses and they trampled in his body. He gave everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He gave all of his belongings to Allah. Allah has to do what right now? He has to pay back. Allah, I'm giving you everything. I don't want to return. In Surah, نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. We are feeding you for Allah. We don't need anything back. Allah designates 3 things for Imam Hussein that he hasn't designated this thing for himself. Number 1, if you see a dirt, khak, turab, dirt, you cannot eat it. If you go out right now, we have a garden outside here, you take a little bit of dirt, which is dirt belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's haram for you to take and consume it. It's haram. Eating dirt is haram. But when you come to turba of Imam Hussein, فيه الشفاعة. You take a little bit of the dirt of Karbala, a little bit of the soil of the land of Karbala, you take it in, it cures sickness, it cures cancer. A little bit of dirt of Karbala is not only haram, it becomes mustahab and it cures sicknesses. I have witnessed people who had cancer in their throat, they were finished, and their time was finished. I saw them with my own eyes. We gave them a little bit of dirt of soil of Karbala, they came back. Allah gave him. Doesn't give him separated than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, Allah gave him. So we don't think he's above Allah. Na'udhu billah. Number 2, الدعاء تحت قبته. Inshallah, each and every one of us will be granted to go and visit the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Let's have loud salawat for that. We'll go there. Allah hasn't said the same thing for next to the Kaaba. We don't have any narration from the Ahl Bayt. Next to the shrine of Imam Rida, you do dua, inshallah it will be accepted. Next to Medina, everywhere you go to all the shrines, Allah, Rasulullah said, and Ahl Bayt, dua تحت قبة الحسين, under the dome of Imam Hussein, will be granted. I witnessed it myself. And everywhere that is the majlis of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, that you feel your heart breaks, tears comes out, that is the place also you can pray, and your prayers and your needs will be granted. Imam Hussein. And the 9 Imams, they come from Imam Hussein, not from Imam Hussein. Why? Because he gave everything. He gave his heart and his soul and his blood, feek, for you. There are 3 groups of people. First group, they work for this dunya. Work and work and work and work for this dunya. There are a group of people who work for akhirah, for hereafter. And the second group divides to 2. A group because they fear Allah's punishment, they do good deeds, they pray on time, they pay their khams, because they don't want to be burned in hellfire. There is a second group, within the second group, that they pray because they want to get to heaven. They don't fear Allah's fire and punishment, they want to end up in heaven. And there's a third group, that everything they do for sake of Allah. قُرْبَةً إِلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. Forget about the first group. Inshallah, we're not amongst the first group. By now, throughout these nights, we have heard that we have to do everything. Even for akhir. Imam Ali alayhi salam states, let's have salawat alayhi salam. Imam states, people who work and who do deeds because they fear Allah's punishment, they are worshipping Allah, the worship of slaves. Because the slaves, they have masters. They know if they don't do right, the master will punish them. And there are a group of people who work for heaven. They are businessmen, they are traders. Businessman does what? Invest money to get something back. I'm going to do good deed and I'm going to take something in return, heaven. But Imam Ali said, us Ahlul Bayt, Allah, I saw you valuable, I saw you worthy of worshipping, that's why I worship you. I don't fear your punishment and I don't want your heaven. You are worthy of being worshipped, I worship you. Allah, Imam Hussein comes and says, Allah, I'm giving everything to you. Why? Before getting to the why, action plan. Let's start thinking from tomorrow morning. When we want to leave the house, how many acts a day I do qurbatan Allah Ta'ala? Many times, I start with this intention. I have our lecture about ikhlas, sincerity. I'm going to summarize it within a couple of minutes. We start with sincerity. But when I'm doing something, people come, mashallah, good job, good job. I start feeling good. So if people come and they praise me, I'm continue. If people don't praise me anymore, it's going to be less and less and less I put it aside. In that case, I didn't do qurbatan Allah Ta'ala. I did it for what? To get praised by people. I do good deeds for people to tell me, MashaAllah. I do good deeds to become famous. Wow, you know this person? He's doing this. MashaAllah. Famous. It's not qurbatan Allah. I do deeds to get money in return. That is not qurbatan Allah Ta'ala anymore. I do deeds to be noticed. Because nobody's noticing me. Okay, I need to do something. What to do? Okay, let's do some good deeds so I can be noticed. Okay, see, this person is doing this. Yeah, he's within the community. I do good deeds because the father of the girl that I'm going to go and ask, she is part of the community, and if he sees me, I'm doing a good job, he says, MashaAllah. If he comes to ask the hand of my daughter, I'm going to give it to him. In that case, it's not qurbatan Allah. We have to start with qurbatan Allah. We have to continue with qurbatan Allah. We have to end with qurbatan Allah Ta'ala. And we have to keep it until the last day of our life, qurbatan Allah Ta'ala. I do good deeds, so at the end I will come and tell people. One of my teachers, Ayatollah Murtada Shirazi, I went to him in Najaf. He said, Shaykh, when you do good deeds, tell people. I told him, what do you mean, Sayyidina? Why should I tell people? If I tell people, then riyah will come in it, show off will come into it, arrogance will come into it. Let me secure myself. I do work really hard to keep it qurbatan Allah Ta'ala, purify my intention, sincere for Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. It's finished, Alhamdulillah, I finished a job, sincere for Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. Why should I come and say it? Because it brings arrogance and riyah and show off in me. He said, have the intention. This is disciplining ourselves. Us controlling our nafs. Not our soul controls us. He says, you do good deeds and you tell other people, so you promote and you encourage other people to do it also. Have that intention. I'm a businessman, inshallah. I went and I paid $1,000 to the center. I come, guys, I went and I paid $1,000. That's good. People start competing. Let's start competing in good things. Competition is good, but in good things. Well, you pay $1,000, I make it $2,000. The brother who has promised the center, you bring this much money, I'll pay this much. It's a good competition. I'm going to give more money. Oh, I'm going to give more money. Let's compete. On the day of Ashura, people were competing. The companions of Imam Hussein, they were competing. Let me go first to be killed. No, let me go be first. To be sacrificed to defend my Imam. Let me go first. So we do good deeds. Qurbatan Allah Ta'ala. If I see myself, I have reached a point that I can tell people to not get arrogant, let's start encouraging. I'm going to the center for Friday prayer. Are you coming? I'm going to give you right. I'm going to go and donate some money. If you want, let's go together and pay. Let's encourage one another towards these deeds and helping and serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He gave his blood and his soul for your sake. Why? ليستنقذ عبادك من الجهالة وحيرة الضلالة. To rescue your servants from ignorance and complication of straying and deviating. How many people have been guided in these majalises? Millions and millions of people have been guided because of this majalises that we're getting together. These majalises, I won't exchange it with billions of dollars. Getting and hearing the word of Muhammad and Al Muhammad. There were a lot of people who were corrupt. They were deviated completely. They were astray completely. They were committing all sorts of sins. But when the first of Muharram came, because of respect for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, they will put all of their sin aside. Many of people do it. Even if they are not sinful. We have sins. Why don't you put it aside? When Muharram comes, I'm going to put it aside. Because of respect for Abu Abdullah. And that becomes a startup engine, initiative for us, that after Muharram, the tears that we are shedding, it's purifying our heart that has been blackened by sin. The chest that we beat, it's being purified from the sins that we have committed. We're going to say, Imam Hussein, you did this for me. I'm shedding tears. I'm your servant. I'm going to obey you. You killed, you sacrificed yourself for me. I'm going to be your servant and I'm going to obey you. ليستنقذ عبادك. Not ليستنقذ المسلمين. Not ليستنقذ المؤمنين. ليستنقذ عبادك. How many Christians they became Muslim because of Imam Hussein alayhi salam? Thousands and thousands and thousands of Christians became Muslim because of Imam Hussein. One of them, Yazid, when he was in his palace, they brought Sayyidah Zainab and the daughters of Rasulullah. Yazid had invited all the ambassadors of different countries to come. And there was ambassador of Rome who was Christian. He was sitting next to Yazid. They brought the head of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. They put it in front of him. And he saw that he has a stick. He's hitting the tongue and the mouth of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. He tells him, who is this guy? He tells him, it's the grandson of a prophet. He says, this is what you do with the grandson of your prophet? One of the companions of Isa, he used to ride on a horse. He walked over a place. We take that dirt which was under the feet of the horse of the companion of Isa. This has become holy for us. You go ahead and you kill the grandson of your prophet. He becomes Muslim. He takes the head of Imam Hussein. He starts kissing it. And then he becomes Muslim. Yazid orders him to be killed. He becomes shaheed. He guided one person. And stories of people being guided. Not only then, every year, millions of people are being guided because of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his sacrifice. So we won't be anymore in jahala. What is ignorance? That unfortunately people lived and we still live in ignorance. A person comes from Kufa to Sham. Look at ignorance. Comes from Kufa to Sham, and he has a naqa. Naqa is a female camel. Jamal is a male camel. He has a naqa. He walks in, he ties the rope of this naqa to a stick to do some shopping. A person from Sham under the ruler kingdom of, under Khilafah of Muawiyah, which he was against Ali ibn Abi Talib. He comes, he takes the rope, he says, this Jamal is mine. Jamal is a male camel, Naqa is a female camel. There is a difference. He said, this Jamal is mine. He said, it's mine. No, he said, mine. The person goes and brings 50 witnesses from his tribe, from his people, that, okay, come and witness, this is my Jamal. They all came. This is our friend. This is part of our tribe. This is part of he's from Pakistan, he's from Iran, he's from Iraq, he's from Afghanistan. He's part of my country, he's part of my community. I'll say whatever it is about him to support him. Not haq. The community comes, the culture comes first. 50 people come to the judge. Judge say, well, do you have, to the person from Kufa, do you have a witness? He said, I don't have a witness. I just came to Sham. And they say, this is them. This is theirs. To the person of the Shami, do you have witness? I have 50 witnesses. That this Naqa, this Jamal is this person. Let's take it to Muawiyah. More people came to Muawiyah. Muawiyah, do you have a witness to the Sham, the Kufa guy? No, I don't have. Do you have? Yes, I have. Hundreds of people have come here to the Khalifa of Muslimin. He said, okay, this is yours, take it. Muawiyah found out that he came from Kufa and he's the lover of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. He told him, come here. Here's the money for your jamal. I can see the difference between female camel and male camel is obvious. Here's this money for your naqah. Go tell Ali ibn Abi Talib, I have 100,000 people like this who don't differentiate between female camel and male camel. I'm going to come and fight you with this 100,000 people. Ignorance. Jahala that we live in today also. Differently. Modern jahala we live in today. Then it was in Naqa and Camel. Right now it's in Mercedes, Benz and Lexus and different cars that we have. We give priority to them over our religion. I can't afford only to the Camry, but because my friend went and he bought a better car, I come home, my wife said, well, they bought this car, let's work more, so we don't have time to go to the center, we have to afford a better car. Ignorance. We see happiness in this materialistic life. But Imam Hussein said, I'm going to Karbala and I'm going to be Shaheed. Anybody who wants to come, join. If you don't want to come, don't come. I went to bring happiness. I'm going to give my blood. I'm going to give my soul for all of the ummah of my grandfather, to no longer be jahil, to be alim, to be wise, to know what is right and to know what is wrong, to know what is the truth and what is falsehood, to know haqq and batil, and to follow the footsteps of Rasulullah, not to follow the footsteps of Yazid. This is why he came to Karbala. To rescue. We are drowning. The only one that can get us out is Abu Abdullah. That he comes and he sacrifices and he gives with humility and his head is down. Oh Allah, take. Tonight is the night of Ali al-Asghar. He comes and says, oh Allah, also Ali al-Asghar, if you want, I want to sacrifice this also for your sake. This is the mercy of Ali Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Why some people interpret it this way? It might be right that Imam Hussein brought Ali al-Asghar because no matter how hard is your heart, when you see an infant, when you see a 6-month-old baby crying, your heart will break. And you will show some mercy. No matter how hard is your heart, you still show mercy. So Imam Hussein wants to touch the heart of the people, to not go to hellfire. Even if I have to sacrifice my son, let your heart to be broken. Come to my army, not to come to my army to defend me. I want you to come to become shaheed for your own sake, to have a prosperous life hereafter, because this life will end one day. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, it's about for him. He has lost all of his companions. He has lost all of his children. Ali al-Akbar is gone. He has lost all Bani Hashim. It's time for him to go and defend the daughters of Rasulullah. When he's about to leave, he hears Ali al-Asghar is crying and crying and crying. He comes back to the tent. He says, Sukaina, my daughter, bring Ali al-Asghar so I can take it to the army of Yazid and Ibn Ziyad. They might show some mercy to him and they might give him some water. Imam Hussein alayhi salam takes Ali al-Asghar. He takes Ali al-Asghar and he goes toward the battlefield. And he starts calling out, Ya Qawm, Ya Qawm, O nation. And lam tarhamuni farhamu hadha al-radhi. have problem with me, if you want to kill me, if you don't show mercy to me, at least show mercy to this infant, to this 6-month-old infant. إن لم ترحموني وارحموا هذا الرضيع أما ترونه كيف يتلظى عطشا. Don't you see, taladha is when you take a fish outside the ocean, how it opens its mouth and closes. No matter what you do, even if you take him back to the water, still it's going to die. Ali al-Asghar was opening his mouth and closing his mouth and shedding tears and crying and crying. Imam Hussein alayhi salam ordered Ali al-Asghar up. There was a division in the army of Yazid bin Ziyad. Some people said, yeah, we have a problem with Imam Hussein, we want to kill him. At least give some water to the baby, to the infant. There was a dispute and there was an argument back and forth. Umar ibn Sa'd told Harmala, اقطع نزاع القوم. Oh, Harmala, cut the disagreement between the army. He said, Harmala said, when I came to Karbala, I brought 3 arrows that had 3 heads and they were poisoned. He said, oh Yazid ibn Ziyad, Umar ibn Sa'd, should I hit the father or should I hit then Ali al-Asghar? Umar ibn Sa'd replied, Ya Hussein, Umar ibn Sa'd replied, don't you see the whiteness of the neck of Ali al-Asghar? He threw the arrow and he hits the neck of Ali al-Asghar. Ali al-Asghar started laughing to the face of his father. Imam Hussein alayhi salam takes the blood of Ali al-Asghar and he throws it to the sky and he says, Allah, because you're seeing this, I'm satisfied. I've sacrificed this for your sake. Imagine, there was a friend of ours. He went and he saw a person by his doorstep, going inside. He wants to get to the house and he leaves the house. Into the house, out of the house. He cannot get in. He went and he told him what has happened. He told him, you don't know what had happened. My son was really sick and I took him to the hospital. His mother wanted to come with me. I told her, no, sit, it's okay, just sit home, I'm gonna take him. When I took him to the hospital, his sickness became severe and severe and severe. By the time I reached the hospital, my son died. So I'm going back. I don't know how to give this news to my wife. And it was only our one son that we had. I don't know how to go. Right now I remember how Abu Abdullah Hussein felt that when Ali al-Akbar was shot, when Imam Hussein saw Ali al-Asghar is shot, he wants to come back to the khayma. He has the infant in his hand. He doesn't know what he says to his mom, Rabab. He doesn't know how to tell her, how to give her this news that your son has been killed. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. مات حسين.